Hey everyone, Kate and Fiona Pearman joining you for this week's Facebook Live, where we're continuing to talk about congruence and our work on confidence. Today, we want to really dig into what are the signals that you're out of alignment or you're not congruent. And I think these are really powerful ones to really start to pay attention. And the first one is all about indecision. I think we've all been here regularly where part of us wants to do one thing, part of us wants to do something else, or we can perhaps notice that we're here and there's a piece of us that doesn't feel right or wants to be somewhere else. And this indecision or procrastination can be a really good cue that's something going on. Of course, we always talk about get clear. We won't go there today. But indecision is often a signal that you are out of alignment or something is incongruent. And really it's about uncertainty, right? I'm not certain enough, so I can't make a decision.
The second piece here, the second signal that perhaps there's a lack of congruence going on internally is when you feel resentful. And again, this is not about judging ourselves, it's about noticing what's going on. So what are those times when you find yourself, there's an upcoming event or something you've agreed to, and inside you're going, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that, or I'm so annoyed that my time is being taken doing this thing that I'm not happy about. You might have thought you made a decision and then you find you come to take some action and actually you're procrastinating, you're not enjoying it, you're feeling resentful that you have to participate in that particular project or support that particular initiative or stakeholder. And again, it's about seeing the resentment and how it rises up and noticing it, because it's a really good piece of information that if we start to dig into it, often what we find sits underneath it is this lack of alignment, lack of congruence internally.
Yeah, I think all of these, right? We talk about these signals as cues to get clear, as cues to what's going on here, so that you can step into a place of personal power and influence, understand what's going on for yourself, and then influence and make change if you want to. But the understanding or the awareness is really powerful here. I think number 3 is around frustration, right? When I'm pissed off or angry or frustrated, maybe something's not going according to plan, or it is, but again, it's linking often that's the behavior that sits above resentment, whether I'd rather be somewhere else. When you're in that sort of emotion or you're blaming someone else, that again, really good cues to go, what's going on? Here we're often externally orientating, right? We're looking outside and blaming other people, other circumstances for the choices and the actions we're taking. And so recognizing, though, again, as a cue, it says, oh, get curious, what's going on here.
And this is the opportunity. Rather than seeing these signals as a negative, there's a reframe here around, let me just understand myself better. Let me tune into this and see what I might want to do now that I'm recognizing some things that maybe weren't top of mind before. The fourth one here is when we're quite often feeling we're not making the progress that we'd like to make. We're not getting, we're not achieving those goals that we've set ourselves, or, we've said we're going to, apply for promotions. We've said we're going to potentially negotiate a pay rise. We've said we're going to participate in a secondment or a new project. And yet we find that we're in the same old. And that lack of progress, when on one level we've said we'd like to do something and we aren't getting the outcomes, is again a really good cue to do a bit of self-examination. What's actually going on here? Is there something in that opportunity or my perception of what that is that actually doesn't sit right with me, that actually feels out of whack and I'm not sure about? And again, it's not to be harsh about this, it's just to notice that my lack of progress may be a signal to dig a bit deeper and see what's going on.
Yeah, and I think this one's particularly important if you've been holding a goal for a while. And, when I say a while, I say 6 months plus, and you're not making progress on that goal. No. Oh, okay. What's interesting here? Because ultimately, you're likely not taking action that's leading to that goal. Like that's the ultimate, signal that you're out of alignment. Is I say one thing, but I do another, right?
Mm.
And so when you're seeing repeated patterns of I'm saying this is important, I say I want this pay rise, I say I want this promotion opportunity, and I'm not making traction towards achieving that goal. Ultimately, what's sitting underneath that likely is that I'm not taking action. If we're not taking action, we're definitely out of alignment, and we're in an incongruent space. I think the fifth one I want to touch on is we feel it in our body, right? And I would say feeling it in our body is probably the quieter way. When we're in anger or frustration, we're far more aware of that, albeit probably in a more interactive state with our environment. I think some of the quieter and possibly earlier and really powerful signals is to notice how we're feeling, notice what we're thinking, and then to my point earlier, just a moment ago, and notice what action we're taking or not taking. These are often the early signs. We talk about the four intelligences in the chapter in the book, Be Focused and Present. Being able to pay attention to the feelings, what's going on, what your body is telling you, what your feelings are telling you, what your brain is telling you, that actually those gentle cues that says, oh, something's going on here. You're out of alignment. You're not congruent. What you're saying and what you're doing is incongruent. How you're feeling and what you're thinking is incongruent. Noticing those is the powerful piece, because the cost of being in this state, of being out of alignment, of being incongruent is taxing in so many ways, Fee.
Yes, I think this is the piece that we are underestimating, that the cost to this on all levels is quite profound. And so taking time to notice this and then to start to examine and think about, well, what is the cost here? What is happening to me? The fact that I'm noticing these signals that I'm incongruent. And then when we think about the time and energy, we're often in our heads, we're ruminating on things, we're going over and over and over again, the same thing. And, very often we're aware that, the relationships that we would love to foster are not getting the attention. They're not necessarily getting the focus and what the way that they deserve to be honored. And just starting to spend a bit of time with what's the cost here and what would I be willing to do differently, or what might I have to do differently, is a first step to thinking about this in a little bit of a different way.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, it's exhausting. We all know that. But it costs us time in terms of the energy we invest thinking and procrastinating and being frustrated, time in context of making traction on our goals, sitting around going, oh, that's important, but not taking action towards our goals. I mean, ultimately that manifests in, slow or delayed pay rises, years going by where we're not taking or going after the promotion opportunities that we want, which ultimately impacts your career goals further down the track, and your financial goals further down the track. So the cost of this time, energy, money are huge. And I think the reason we share that now is we want to leverage you, right? Because this indecision, this being out of alignment or being incongruent, being in that place costs you time, energy, and money. Your ability to be aware of where you are out of alignment or incongruent in life and start to pay attention. In our experience, sometimes it's in the paying of attention that can start to move you towards making different decisions, taking different actions that can really start to steamroll you in towards another direction. So really powerful stuff. That said, it's big, right? This conversation is big. That's why when we talk about clarity in the Acts of Confidence program, that clarity conversation, it feels like it should be easy. Being clear about who you are, what you want, where you want to go, how you're going to get there. And it's laid and it's sticky and it's complex. And this incongruence or being out of alignment shows up in plenty of ways there, Fee.
Yeah, I think ultimately there's a piece here about being willing to have the conversation with ourselves, because lack of alignment, incongruence, is really ultimately not being honest with ourselves. We're not actually speaking our own truth, even to ourselves. Like we talk about how we can speak our truth externally, but the first place to practice congruence, to get clear, to understand ourselves, is to be able to voice our own truth to ourselves. And so once we're aware of the signals, once we understand the costs, we've got very good reason to really gain that clarity and be willing to do something differently. And I think that's the beauty of unpacking these pieces, Kate, is, on the surface, yes, we've got a little bit of an idea of what's going on, but when we unpack it, actually, if the net effect is, it was easier for me to be able to be truthful with myself, honest with myself. Wow, that's an incredibly freeing moment.
Beautiful. Team, we're going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed today's confidence conversations, we'd love for you to share it with your network, especially if you've got a friend, a colleague, a family member who could benefit from that. Tag them below or share this in Messenger or any other platform that you would like. Head over to our Facebook page, click like. We go live every Wednesday morning. Lots of great videos. We've been doing this for years now, so lots of great stuff for you to dig into there and learn a little bit more about some of what we've been discussing today. And when you are ready to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au.